Welcome, everybody, to the Rad Life, the only talk radio show that takes you along with host and age explorer Rod Gantos on his continuing journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older. The Rad Life is brought to you this week by Your Home for a Lifetime, a company dedicated to empowering you to stay safely, independently, and comfortably in your own home. And now here is your host, Rod Gantos.
Rad Gantos, where in the world are you?
Well, you got a car behind you, and I'm in a car, and I know I'm not living in my car.
Well, I don't know. It was crazy times we live in here.
Crazy time, crazy year, uncertainty. Yeah, for all you know, possibly. No, I'm good, man. I'm actually just outside a place of business, and I will talk about a little bit more in a bit, but to pick up some stuff that I needed to get it out to clients, because we have all, I think, had to pivot, like crazy pivot, right?
Crazy pivot.
Crazy pivot. And first and foremost, I'm going to say a shout out to Paul Roberts for helping with some of that pivoting, and we'll talk about that as well. Yeah, he's this guy.
Where is he at? Well, let's.
By the way, yeah, go ahead and put that on, because
let's talk about this, because I got. Let's just review for those listening in the future. We're doing this at the end of 2020. Yes, that year from hell that nobody wants to ever talk about again, that your grandkids will never hear about, because I'm never going to bring it up again here.
Right.
It's our version of 2018, when this giant pandemic combined with, in our case, a crazy, unprecedented election and giant forest fires and everything else you can throw into the mix, locust and the seven plagues.
You cannot believe how appropriate what you're saying is right now, because where I'm sitting right now, I just realized I may have to move the car in the middle of the show, because as is the case with 2020 and the unpredictability, I happen to be in a place where they're about to do tree grinding.
Oh, tree grinding, of course. Of course, right? Why not?
It's 2020, people. There it is, right there.
Just when you think you're set, somebody's going to grind a tree behind you here. Yeah.
So I'm about to pivot and move the car if it gets too loud.
Okay.
But that's perfect. So, 2020, crazy ass year, on every level, and nobody was spared. The whole friggin' world has been affected. And in March, and we were coming off a very good, and just to give people a perspective, we were coming off a very good beginning of the year. I mean, oh my God, I thought we were in for a record year. Everything was starting to happen.
Stock market's on the record rise. My business was at a record period. I know people were just feeling like this is really going to now explode and take off here.
Right. You know what, Paul?
Go ahead.
Let me just move.
All right.
Okay. So hold on there for a second. I'm going to move the car.
So while you're doing that, I'll talk here.
Yeah, you could talk. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm just going to move the car, and then I will be right back.
Okay.
Because it is definitely tree grinding time.
So what happened was the bottom fell out in the world. We had COVID hit, and everybody thought, well, we'll go through this for a month, and then we'll be back to normal.
I said 2 weeks, remember? I said 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. I remember you saying you were angry when they shut it down. You were like, oh, come on.
Thank you for saying that, because remember I said from the beginning, I said shutdown is not the answer. Do you remember this?
I remember very much so.
Right. And so that thank you for bringing that up, because yes, given everything else we're going to talk about, that I was like, well, Rod, you want the shutdown, and I've had people tell me that. I said, no, you don't get it. From day one, I realized the shutdown was never going to be the answer. We were not going to be. That was never going to happen. And so yes, everything got shut down. It was very knee-jerk reaction based on reality. People were friggin' afraid. I mean, we had no idea what we're dealing with.
None.
I'm sorry to put it this way for those who may feel differently, but there was no friggin' leadership.
No.
Okay.
On any level, on the county level, on the state level, on the federal level.
Don't even get me started about the insanity that is still, by the way, perpetuated. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like we have 300,000 people dead.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right? Okay. we're having
But you know what?
45.
They're old people. They're other people. They're
Oh,
those
I saw
people.
a number yesterday that was like, oh yeah, shell shock. Who the hell cares? Like I've become desensitized.
Yeah.
45,000 people, new cases a day is the average in Southern California.
Here's what I tell people. I said we had roughly 3,000 people die in 9/11 in a shock attack, and the nation was
And
shocked
we went
and
to war.
mourned.
We went to war over that for 10 years, by the way.
Yes, exactly. And I remember as a
Unbelievable.
good Catholic going to mass that night and we didn't know what to do. I had a bar then. People would gather and just cumble in. They didn't huddle. They didn't want to stay home. They didn't know what to do.
You opportunist, you.
Yeah, right. But they didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to go. And we were all just so shook up. I was shook up. 3,000 people, Americans died. We hadn't happened since World War II in Pearl Harbor. And
Yep.
and now we've had 100 times that die. And we go,
And we're like, oh well, pass the wine because I really don't want to be masking, or I don't care about social distancing.
and I didn't know who those 3,000 people were who died. They were New Yorkers. I don't know who most of the 300,000 people who died.
So let me ask you a question, because this is the thing that everybody now is still bullshittingly saying. Okay, and I'm sorry at the language, and I'm really pissed off at some people.
Yeah.
Right. And besides, people haven't seen me on the live feed for a while, so here you go.
Here you
This is
go.
what you get.
Well, if you forgot.
This is what you get forward to. It's on steroids come 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm going to blame it at that point at the vaccination. And so whatever's in that vaccine.
Yes, it drove you. That's true.
Okay,
We've got an excuse. It drove us all crazy. The vaccine did it. Yeah.
The vaccinine, yes, the vaccinine. Paul's going to get a
I'm
vaccinine.
creating new. I'm getting a vaccinini.
That's the new drink at the bar.
The vaccinini.
I'd like a vaccinine. Can I get a vodka vaccinine?
Exactly.
So anyway, I mean, it's insanity. It's like people are like, oh well, I don't know anybody that has COVID. Oh, I don't know anybody who passed away. I'm going to ask you this question: do you know somebody who got COVID?
I finally do, but not many. I know one. I knew one relative back east had it, and I now have one person in my sort of secondary circle of people
Right.
have
Well,
it.
I got to tell you, I knew people within the first few months
Yeah, I didn't.
that got it, and I know a lot of people overseas too. So I knew people that were international, that were overseas, that got it very early on.
Mm-hmm.
I also knew people that were really terrified because they have elder parents, like I do with my dad
Yeah, right.
and my mom at the time. That we were very terrified. Like, even if we could basically withstand it, the risk factor, the irresponsibility that we could expose a loved one to it was just a little too much risk to take. Right? And yes, we had lack of information, we had misinformation, we had a lack of leadership. All of that, in my opinion, compounded the insane effect and overkill that we went to. Right? Had we had that at the beginning, we may have been able to isolate differently. We may have been able to have leadership that guided us to take responsible action, okay, instead of everybody basically just politicizing for the best purpose of personal gain,
Right.
what they were doing and how they were advising this thing. But I have people that I know personally, as late as last week, my uncle and his wife in Chicago. Okay, so this is impacting us right here, right now in Christmas, right? My uncle and his wife both got it. His wife, basically, my aunt basically has breathing problems. She has medical issues, right?
Yikes.
She got hospitalized.
Oh boy.
Right? They had to put her on steroids. It was a touch and go whether she was going to respond to it or not. Fortunately, she is, but she's still hospitalized. This is first person, right? And then who did they get it through? I hate to point the finger because I don't know that he obviously did it on purpose, but they got it from their son, who's younger than I am.
Yeah, right.
Who also had it with his girlfriend.
I've heard that, where the couple of people I actually now know, could name a couple others who I've not in my immediate circle, but maybe one or two circles out.
I know a ton of people that are in my immediate circle right here in Orange County that are of my age or younger that actually tested positive.
Wow. See, I don't
but
know.
they were asymptomatic. Some of them had to sequester.
Right.
People that I have done business with that I know that basically tested positive, and it passes on. They live in the same house. So my point to this is no. Let's just start this show with saying one thing.
Okay.
It's not fake.
No.
It's very real.
Yes.
People die from it.
Very
If
serious.
if you don't want to believe that the 300,000 people who died from it that are recorded as having died from COVID, it is an accurate accounting, and that there's some sort of creative accounting going on in terms of the number, because I don't know, somebody gets paid for the case or whatever.
Yeah,
Even
right.
if you want to consider that, okay, can we agree that a body of people died
Big body.
in the United States of 300,000 people? Okay, all right.
But-
would you give me 50? Would you give me 50% of that as being accurately
But
recorded?
Rod, people die
Well,
every day from car crashes. We don't stop driving. They die from the flu every year.
Right,
That's
but you
just
know what-
part
but
of
you know what-
living.
But you know what we do, Paul? We put on a fucking seatbelt. We
Yeah.
put on a fucking
Right.
seatbelt.
We shouldn't.
Okay?
We should.
We don't have supervisors in Orange County saying, I will not enforce you wearing a seatbelt, or a sheriff's basically saying, I'm not going to ticket you if you're not wearing a seatbelt. If you don't
Exactly.
ticket me for not wearing a mask during a pandemic, then you don't have any fucking right to ticket me for not wearing a seatbelt.
That is the
Or-
most powerful
or-
argument I have ever heard anybody make, because the comeback is the last statistic I saw, and this was in the not the Register, but one of those publications. They're talking about the official county records say 3 times as many people have died in this county as die from the flu. So don't tell me it's just the flu. Now, originally we thought it was 10 times more deadly, and it might have been.
Again, you're burying me with facts.
Okay, yes, right. So you just came up with the perfect analogy, which is when we're faced with deaths, we don't ignore them. We try and mitigate them. We try and reduce them. So if the people are dying in cars, we make the cars safer. We wear seatbelts. And if they don't want to wear the seatbelt, we force you to wear a seatbelt.
Here's my right and freedom to say this as the supervisors and anybody who basically is still friggin' anti-mask mandate or enforcement. Okay, these are people that are in positions to protect and serve. Okay, if you're not gonna enforce a mask mandate, if you're not gonna fine me, thank you, City of Costa Mesa, for having the balls to stand up and fine people $100 they're not wearing a mask. Okay, shout out to Katrina Foley, who's mayor there, for actually pushing that. Shout out for Lucy Dunn at the Orange County Business Council for actually pushing on the mask and connecting the dots between mask wearing and good business. Right, because it means this place is safe. Means I can go in and spend money. It means yes, you can stay in business. But those people who are basically saying, "Well, I'm not going to enforce this because it's freedom." Well, guess what? If you are not going to enforce me not wearing a mask, then you cannot enforce me not wearing a belt or me being on a cell phone. Because if you think those endanger myself and other people, guess what? Not wearing a mask does the same. Period.
The most powerful argument, I've never heard anybody connect those two dots. When we were forced with an increase in car deaths, we forced the car companies to make them safer. They didn't want to. And the cars cost more. Then we forced people to wear seatbelts. And when they didn't, we fined them. And then we kept talking on the cell phone, we fined them, because we know that reduces the amount of death. Doesn't stop it. There's a risk to driving a car. There's a risk to living. A certain number of people will catch diseases and die anywhere. But we can mitigate it. We can limit the damage. If we don't voluntarily do it, we got to force people to do it.
Absolutely. There's no friggin' argument. I mean, if you are going to even try that, just shut the hell up, because you have no basis.
No.
Okay? Just stop. Stop making an idiot of yourself, because you are being an idiot when you say that. When that comes out of your mouth, it's not credibility. It's not freedom. It's not wrapping yourself in the flag. You're being a friggin' moron. Okay? So stop doing that.
But we got a lot of morons. Michelle Steele, the supervisors, anti-masking, others,
And you know what, Paul? COVID has given me the opportunity to cut those fucking morons out of my life. I don't need you anywhere near me, because you are too stupid to survive in a wilderness environment. Okay, you don't know what sensible behavior is. You are basically so wrapped up with your freedoms and rights that you have abdicated the component that is integral to that, which is personal responsibility and accountability.
And when I was growing up as a kid, one of the Republican core values that was driven into me as a suburban Republican kid was personal responsibility. that you have an obligation to take responsibility, not just for your own safety, but for the world around. This is,
Yes.
and so you were supposed to. That's why they'd say, you got to have insurance and you got to do things here. Why are we forced to have car insurance? Because people are irresponsible, so we have to
Fuck it. You know
force
what?
them.
I don't want car insurance. I don't want health.
I don't want health insurance. I don't want car insurance. I don't want to wear a seatbelt. I don't want to wear a helmet when I drive around. I don't want to do any of it. But I have a responsibility to myself and to others. Did we lose you there? I think we lost the connection here. Well, Rod Gantos is on a rage, ladies and gentlemen, here. He's ready to ramp up. Let's see if we can get him to come back. If not, we'll play a quick commercial here, and we'll continue the conversation here as the Raad Life rages on right here in Orange County's only community radio station, octalkradio.net.
Nose and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
John Asher of Asher Strategies wants to remind
Coming
you
back in,
to
is he
consider
going to
making a
join us
difference
again
in
here?
helping the woundedwarriorproject.org.
Rod Gantos, are you there? Oh, let's try it again. You there? It's back. See, you got so.
Here. I was censored by the deep state.
You were the deep state. Well, every time you get on a rant, you lose the connection. There's got to be a connection to that.
I'm telling you, this is the one time of the year when I basically totally lose my shit, and basically they just deep stated me. Okay, so what I was saying is, even if, let's just bring it back down a little bit, right? You don't, just stop being an idiot. All right, I mean, nobody is buying your bullshit. Okay, we have had 300,000 people that have died. Okay, I'm going to meet you halfway. Hell, I'm going to meet you 2/3 of the way. Okay? That means that 300,000 people died in the United States, which is like an unbelievably shocking thing. I mean, it's like the friggin' Black Plague landed on this country, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. We should not be accepting a death rate of that nature, regardless of the reason. Let's just say, can we meet halfway for a minute? 150,000 of those people were reported wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That means 150,000 people who died from a friggin' one cause. Okay, that's still unbelievable. Like that should just blow your brain. It just blow your mind, right? Okay, I'm gonna go further. Let's say 1/3 of those 300,000 were the ones that were actively recorded. That's 100,000 people. That's bigger than the city of San Clemente. That means everybody in San Clemente died.
Yeah. So why aren't we upset about this? Why aren't we willing to do anything about it? Why are we still in denial about it?
No. We're not just in denial. We're in arrogance and entitlement and basically wanting to shove our fingers in people's faces and saying, how dare you wear a mask? How dare you care about somebody else? How dare you infringe on my rights to be an asshole? I mean, let's call it like it is, right? It's been a year of misery for people.
Now, here's an interesting. Let's go into the Wayback Machine and see an alternative.
You know what I just realized, Paul? I pretty much just killed any opportunity for anybody to be willing to be a guest on this show.
I think you did. Just right there. If they hear this show, they're done. Let's go into the Wayback Machine.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the last episode of the Raad Life.
At least in the political run. No. There's for everybody you turn off, you're turning on somebody, because there are people we've turned into two camps on this here. But let's go back on something. I really don't understand this. And you can say he's a jerk or whatever. And I certainly won't
learned
fight
everything
you.
I know from Breitbart and Fox News, by the way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, those great outlets. So let's say that President Trump, instead of fighting this because he thought it was going to hurt his election, embraced it and stepped up and said,
Oh my
I'm
God,
going to.
the man had an unbelievable opportunity to be the equivalent of an FDR persona
Right.
in American history. Absolutely.
And he had a fanatical following.
But he could not help himself. He could not help be against his own nature. But you are absolutely right. From a strategic perspective, forget any ideology, forget any morality. If he actually thought about this and go, okay, listen, I just went through this impeachment bullshit. I just went through all this crap, right? I'm coming on an election, and I want to get this other term, which I want to get the second term. This is somebody just dropped this opportunity in his lap.
Because nobody's going, we rallied the country. We're in a time of crisis, rally behind the leader. Nobody would have, everybody would have shut up.
It was an FDR moment, Paul.
Yeah.
It was an FDR moment. It was a I feel your pain moment. It was a I am here for you moment.
Right.
It is a, you know,
it was a quit criticizing me moment, because we don't have time for you to criticize me. It's a national emergency. We got to rally behind the flag and the leader.
He could have nullified all the criticism, because I am here and my focus is this, and everything else is on the back burner right now. Okay, it was a take off my sport coat, roll up my sleeve, and I am with the people. It is a I am walking the line. I am feeling
and think about the three things that matter to him. So, number one, he has a fanatical hold over people that we still can't understand. I talk about it all the time. My cousins, my friends, my family stuff. It is a cult-like hold. Whatever he tells them, they will believe. And that's not an overstatement. They really do believe it. They think he's the only voice of reason.
That power of charisma could have been used. And I again will say,
he
it's not a morality in the right to do the right thing, but to do the right thing for him would have been to monopolize this opportunity like anybody with half a branding brain would have done.
Right. So he could have, his followers wouldn't have pushed back. They would have, just like farmers. Look at, here's a perfect example. I know a lot of farmers in my family and stuff in the Midwest, and he's killed farms. I mean, this whole idea of this fight with China.
I spent a lot of time in Wisconsin and Idaho and Iowa.
And yet they all hang in there with him, even though they're suffering, because he's convinced them this is for the greater good. This fight with China is we got to fight it. And I'm sorry if it's hurting right now and killing your farms.
I don't know that I disagree with him on the China thing. I don't know that I disagree with him on everything, but just look at it from an opportunity presented to you.
So don't tell me that he was afraid that his followers wouldn't follow him. They would have followed him, and they would have borne the pain of putting the mask on and do everything else.
So here's the thing that kills me, Paul. Okay. They obviously recognized it was an opportunity, because all those businesses that got PPE money, all the businesses all the shell companies that were set up by Jared Kushner in order to channel money into, right? I mean, they realized it was an opportunity, but they didn't wake up and realize it was a political opportunity that just would almost bury the Democratic Party.
Yes. So that's number one. He could have easily got his followers to, in fact, uniquely, whereas everybody else would have, if Obama was still president, they would say, this is one more example of you trying to be a dictator and you're trying to tell us what to do and destroy the Constitution and be a king. Trump, like Nixon, took all the anti-communists to China. He could have taken all the anti-maskers and the libertarian types that follow him and said, this is an exception. We got to do this for the greater good.
You know why he didn't? You know why he didn't? Other than the fact that it goes against his own nature of being like, it's what's in front of me. It's all about me. But again, that would not doesn't even make any sense, because it's all about me. It would have been to take advantage of this opportunity. The reason I think he didn't, and the people around him didn't, is because we became, yet again, a victim of tribalism. Right. The other side was saying black, I had to say white.
Yeah, right.
The other side was saying up, I had to say down. So the fact that the responsible behavior was to mask, and the people who were saying mask were Democrats, no, I have to say don't mask. I have to find reason to say it. So I wrap it in freedom and the American flag.
I'm going to argue that it's one step further, though, and I think it goes to the word that every Trump person will rage against. But it's hard to make an argument otherwise. He didn't know how to handle this. It's incompetence. They didn't have people who knew how to do it.
Who would, Paul? Who would know how to handle this? To be fair, to the guy and to the administration. This is a once in a lifetime, in a generation, okay, or more, okay, situation. But it is moments like that where the mettle of a person is tested.
Right.
It is moments like that when the
ran.
true character and nature of something is tested. What is happening right now, because of the course of action that was decided upon, is not only did he lose the election, not only is the country continuing to be divided and confused and messed up and doesn't know what is up, what's down. Not only do we have economic crises, because had there been leadership in how these businesses
Didn't have to go like this. Didn't have to go like this.
Going back to what I was saying at the very beginning of the pandemic, is shutdown is not the answer. Because of all of that, because these things didn't happen, and I'm not laying it only at his feet. Like, okay, what Gavin Newsom is doing right now with the restaurants and stuff is an overreach. It's too much. Like, it does. There's no science to support it. I understand the reactiveness of it, but it's not. Unfortunately, we're probably looking at another year until we get out of this, even with the vaccine, until everybody gets vaccinated, and that's assuming people are willing to get vaccinated. But again, there were all these opportunities along the way to show leadership in a different manner. When you didn't do that,
yes.
What is also at risk right now is a complete collapse, and I'm going to say it, a complete collapse of the Republican Party, or at the very least, marginalization of the Republican Party. Okay,
collapse of business, collapse of...
I'll make a prediction right now.
Okay.
I'll make a prediction right now. They will lose at least one seat in Georgia.
I think they'll lose one. I don't think they'll... It seems incredible to me they could win both, but I think they'll lose one.
It depends on what happens with the stimulus. But I will tell you, they're going to lose one seat in Georgia. And that, and along with the election, should be basically telling them something. But when you look at how they're continuing to behave 7 and 8 weeks out, the cancerous thinking is so ingrained that there might have to be a third party that comes out of it. And John Kasich said that yesterday. Right. And I will tell you, that party that will be fiscally conservative, socially liberal,
yes,
that is basically based on reasonable action.
Sign me up. Right.
You're in, I'm in. Most of the people that are non-party affiliated would be joining that. Yes. And that is a full spectrum. But
so let's go back again. I just want to finish that loop. So I'm going to go back to President Trump. I'm going to go to my Wayback Machine and say, wait a minute. Resist your impulse to fight it because you think it's going to make you look bad.
You're like that ad with the guy that basically the business consultancy firm where he shows up in between the shelves and he's like, "Hey, I am you from the future."
Exactly.
And I'm telling you.
So I'm going to show up and I'm going to say, "Listen, this is the greatest opportunity for a showman like you to put on a show. Number one, you're a wartime president. Everybody has to stop criticizing you and rally behind you. 2, your followers only you can get these people to put masks on. Nobody else is going to get them to put masks on and to sacrifice their personal liberty, but you can because you've already shown them. You got the farmers to do it and others to do it for the greater good. And you have a chance to come out of this on top. Even if it fails, you will show that you're in there fighting for the little guy and fighting for people against all the forces of evil that don't want to get the vaccine through, and you're tearing regulations apart.
I don't know. Take some of the weekends that you went golfing and actually show up at a soup kitchen and hand out food, just for the photo op.
And I remember there was one. Nobody talks about this. There was one moment where I thought he was going to do the George Bush thing. George Bush stood up at the World Trade Center and said, "I hear your voices, and we're going to make people pay. We're going to do this." And I, even though I was not a George Bush fan, said, "I'm going to give the guy a chance." And we pulled behind him because we were in a crisis. This isn't the time to criticize him and tear him down. This is time to get
people forget actually that because of George Bush, this is behavior after the 9/11 attacks. Because up till that point, he was looking shaky.
Right.
And then when that came, exactly what we're talking about is the perfect example of taking that situation. I believe that W's heart is actually in it. I think he's genuine, right?
Right.
As a human being. But that was an opportunity, and they basically made what the decisions that needed to be done. They dealt with it in such a manner that he was basically right there.
So there was a moment in March, and everybody forgets this moment, where the president, after saying it's no big deal, it's going to go away, don't look at it, it's no big deal, because he was afraid of it, he thought it would tank the stock market.
Put a UV light under my skin and it'll take care of it.
And he went through this nonsense, and then all of a sudden he turned and pivoted for a moment. He started to call himself a wartime president. This is a war against us. And he called together a a live conference in the Rose Garden, and he had the CEO of, I think it was CVS and Walmart and a couple others there, and he said, folks, I guess this isn't going away. We have suddenly pivoted. All these folks, we have brought them in together. They're going to have testing on site. Google is going to have an app up shortly that you're going to be able to trace who you were with. And I thought, for a moment, I thought, okay, the guy gets it, and I'm going to shut up. I've been the rabid anti-Trumper. He's getting it. He's going to pull people together.
Give him a chance.
Give him a chance. And that lasted a week, and then it all just disappeared.
Walmart
did not roll anything. Google said, what app? We don't have an app. What are you talking about? We haven't even done.
Yeah. No, like I said, Paul, I mean, I tell people this and they look at me and go, oh, you're jaded, blah, blah, blah. Everything I need to know about the guy, I learned from the book called Art of the Deal that was not even written by him back in the 80s when I basically went to business school. And we read that as a manifesto of how to basically be smart and creative in business. And that was the time before we basically realized
how to screw others. As he said, if I don't pay taxes, I'm smart. If you win, if I win and you lose, that's good.
Yeah, but again, if you were a person like me that went into business school in the 1980s, that was your credo. Like you were encouraged to be moral about it, but still considered rating companies.
It's transactional. Yeah, if you can get away with it, it's okay. And if it benefits me,
non-relational, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is that book, and I'm being very just objective, not really emotional about it, but that book told me everything I need to know about the guy. Yeah. And he has done nothing that caused me to believe that his behavior is different. So he's been consistent. I'll give him that, right? But be that as it may, it really has been an interesting year because at a high level that we're talking about, this level, the local governmental level, even the personal level, the bullshit has become very clear. And those who basically embrace the bullshit to the point where it is basically part of their DNA, you have been given an opportunity because of the required distancing and the sequestering, all this stuff, to exercise that out of your life. And I have kind of done a bit of that. Now, I've also tried to be very careful that I'm not basically putting myself in my own little bubble. And so I am a little bit more clear about if somebody basically gets a little insane on social media feeds or whatever, and I give them an opportunity to say, look, you go do that, go sell, to quote Jack from As Good as It Gets, go sell crazy somewhere else. We're all full up here, right? So I'm like, okay, go sell crazy somewhere else. Don't put it on my feed. Don't put it on my stuff. Know where I stand. I'm giving you the benefit of that rather than just kicking you to the curb. But it has been, I think that has been a common experience for a lot of people. A lot of people that I talk to, they're like, we were running fast. We were just basically more. And all of a sudden, kind of like what happened at the end of the 80s, all of a sudden the party's over and now we get a little bit more sobriety, right? Instead of the fog of the party.
So let's talk about the pivot. The great story of this year isn't the great fight. It's the great pivot.
It's the pivot. And again, so let's talk about that. By the way, I just realized, did we just establish a new dress code for OT Talk Radio? We're both in gray sweatshirts. This is
the uniform. We're in gray times. We're not in bright, cheerful times. We're in gray times.
But I'm laughing because I've also noticed in fashion out there's been a lot of browns that have been introduced, right?
And gray. I can't believe how many people are putting gray back into their house. Gray flooring is everywhere I see it, and brown flooring.
No, you're just behind the times. And we've been doing that for 2 years in interior design. But no, the brown, like brown shirts, brown jackets, chocolate brown. And I'm like, whoa. And somebody said to me, well, brown is a color that is associated with the common man. And I thought that was an interesting reaction. Maybe it's happenstance, maybe it's a purposeful, whatever, but that there's a little bit more of a plebeian approach.
Yes.
Versus this esoteric, elevated, because
we hate the elites,
if you're wearing a custom suit or not, you're friggin' sitting behind Zoom, right?
Yes.
I mean, our lives have changed such that, I mean, I'm not, but I could be wearing boxer shorts right here.
I suspect you are.
I don't usually drive around in my briefs, but so don't.
That's an interesting point because it brings us all down to a common level when you're on Zoom. There is no premier Zoom that people are paying where I've got 80 million lights behind me and 12 cameras on me and makeup and everything else. No, we're all looking like ordinary people on Zoom.
And you and I on the production side have lived this.
Right.
Like we realized but whether by accident or by development of things or whatever, out of necessity, that we have a lot more latitude and control over doing things without the traditional infrastructure
Right.
that we thought was absolutely necessary, right?
Right.
So, I mean, perfect example right now, you're sitting at the new studio at UCI, but you're basically using a Zoom background, right? I'm sitting in a car. I don't even care to put a background behind me because guess what, Paul? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
We have now actually distilled it back down to the content. Now, I mean, most people probably stopped listening to us 5 minutes into the show, but it's really about the content. It's about the delivery. It's about the connectivity with people that are on camera, right? And it's not so much about all the other bells and whistles. We are now basically, forget the bells and whistles. I don't care, right? So it's, I mean, it's interesting what we are going through. And again, it's not something that has taken place over a period of a week
I'll
or
give
2
you that.
weeks.
There's the studio. We're in the studio.
Yeah. Right. A week or 2 weeks. Okay. It's actually, put it back on because I think it's distracting with the screen and screen. You might want a little bit of a bit more neutral background.
Okay. Let's go back to this.
Plus, make sure that the expiration date on that fire extinguisher on the side is actually valid.
Yeah.
So, but I think what's interesting is this is not something that impacted us over, a summer vacation, 2 weeks. It's been almost a year. And the likelihood, truthfully, is another 6 months of this at best, probably longer. And at that point, even with COVID out of the way or controlled by vaccine or whatever, we are still going to have an emotional memory. And our habits and behavior patterns have changed in a manner that is, you get to choose. Is it negative because it's not the same as it was before? Or is it potentially positive and fraught with opportunities because it has opened our eyes to do things differently?
I think
and
it's
this
both.
is where the rubber meets the road.
It's both.
It really is. Okay, and this is the pivoting you're talking about.
Right. So let's go through some of the. Let's talk about Rod's personal pivot.
So let me just add another layer of complexity to the things that I've faced, and it's by no means unique. I know a lot of people are dealing with this just because of our age bracket, generationally as well. But this thing started in March,
right?
And all of a sudden, I couldn't really go visit in person as freely as I used to. My 79-year-old mom and 84-year-old dad, or 83 at that point, 84-year-old dad, that live within 3 miles or 6 miles away from me. And we purposely have located ourselves, my sister and I, to where we are close to our parents. Because as they age, we want them to age in their own home and all this stuff. And the Raad Life has a lot of aging components to it, how we've been doing this show and the people we've interviewed and all this stuff. And I remember when this thing first happened, I called you and I said, look, I want a refund for all my money that I've paid to OC Talk Radio because I'm supposed to be prepared after 5 years of doing a show on aging. And I have no preparation whatsoever. And I'm joking, but no preparation whatsoever, given the fact what I'm dealing with. So we dealt with this shift in our personal way of dealing with my elderly parents. We then, unfortunately, were faced with a loss in the family, and it went very quickly, and so she didn't suffer. But my mom took ill, and we are now faced with the fact that do we put her in the hospital? We can't put her in the hospital. We can't visit with her. All of this stuff. We thought she had been suffering from cancer for a couple of years, but she was good. And all of a sudden, it turns out that my mother, in the period of 3 months between January and May, or February and May, was having mini strokes.
Oh.
I believe it wasn't COVID that killed her, but the stress from the situation probably did not help.
No.
And she's the primary caregiver for my father.
Right.
And my father is dealing with the onset of dementia and Parkinson's. And it was a lot. I mean, I can look back and say, look, I don't know. I know we had offered to help her and have people come in and whatever, but proud woman that she is, no, I've got it handled. I take care of the family. This is what I do. And so we lost my mom in May.
So in the midst of, and I didn't know if you wanted to go there, but in the midst of our national sudden upheaval, you had
Yeah.
that personal upheaval that you and I talked about for years, because I lost my parents years ago and talked about so many
Yeah.
times on the show.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
moment. It's that moment none of us are really ready for. You
No,
think you
you're
are.
not ready for it. Now in March, I just want to step back for a minute. In March, when this thing happened with COVID, I was also faced with another reality. Commercial interior design, high-end luxury hospitality. There was a lot of uncertainty all of a sudden that came out of nowhere, and
Right.
people were really concerned. And after it turned out that it wasn't a week, it wasn't a month, it looks like this is going to be longer. People started worrying about, like, where's my paycheck coming from? Do I have enough savings? Is my job safe? Is this project going to fly or not? And people, and we had to shut down a little bit, right? So it was
Right.
like people were really kind of like, what's going on? I didn't feel right that I would continue to basically promote business to say, hey, listen, Paul, I know you don't know whether your paycheck is coming in next month or not,
Right.
but I think you need to renovate your living room and have me sell you a whole bunch of furniture.
Yeah.
Or let's build that additional dwelling unit in the back of your house. It's time for a room addition. I didn't feel right doing that, right? So at the same time, I also found myself disconnected from everybody because we were sequestered. So
you're talking about a
maybe
variety of
that's
disconnections. Suddenly we're forced to be apart. Suddenly people are questioning whether or not they're going to make improvements and do all these projects or put everything on hold. And
No,
suddenly,
this was even before. This was way before that. People weren't even thinking, I need to homeschool my kids. I
Yeah,
need to basically
right.
turn a home office and do. No. We were in limbo. We're going to come out of this. We're floating in the lifeboat because we were fortunate enough to find ourselves in a lifeboat. But is that lifeboat going to hold us over an extended period of time? Am I going to start seeing leaks between the seams? I had no idea. And again, no leadership telling me, be calm, everything is fine. Not even the captain of the fucking Titanic playing music while I'm basically drifting.
No, yeah.
There was nothing.
Right.
In fact, if anything, there was scaring.
And in
people
fact,
were like, don't scare me.
let's go back to the one moment that scared me when the county of Orange, I remember you and I were talking, the building I was in, an office tower, and suddenly
Yep.
the county of Orange said everybody has to shut down tomorrow.
Yep.
And you freaked
Yep.
out, and we all freaked out, like, what? And then it quickly found out, well, I'm a radio station, maybe I'm immune and all this other
And
stuff.
we laughed,
stuff.
right? We
Yeah.
laughed that my work being construction through the interior design and doing the podcast. And I remember telling my mom, God rest her soul, I said, hey, listen, you remember I've been telling you all my life that I'm essential. And here's the thing from the state of California. It says podcasts and newspapers, whatever, is
Right.
essential. So, here I see I'm essential right here. It says so. The state of California told me
And
so.
and then what happened is the county reversed that order within 24 hours. Huge uproar, big fight, and the county health official who put forth this idea, we got to shut it down because it's out of control until we get it under control.
No. There needs to be mask mandates.
Yes, and she
dared to mandate a mask, and she got lambasted by two of the supervisors like nobody's business,
and
one of
threatened
whom is still
at
out
home.
there basically spreading misinformation. Another one who's now been elected to higher office because of the riding the wave of these people.
Hysteria.
That are
So the
anti-vaxxing,
county issued an order, and within 24 hours, they're sending me as the new media, wait a minute, disregard that. We're changing everything here. And that sort of flip-flop within a short period of time.
Not only flip-flop, Paul, it confuses the shit out of people.
Exactly. What,
I'm in danger. No, I'm not in danger. Well, you kind of are, but you're not going to be.
I got to wear a mask. No, you don't have to wear it. We might shut down. No, stop that. Don't disregard that. We're going to countermand that. Everything is disregard and don't listen because we don't even know what we're doing.
At the time where we look to our elected officials that are basically elected to be of service to the community, not to themselves, not to their political careers. When we needed them the most,
yes,
they failed us.
Completely.
They failed us.
Completely.
And they continue to be mealy-mouthed about how they're dealing with it, and they continue in the big part to fail us. There are high examples of people who have stepped up. I mentioned a couple of them already, right? They're people who basically are willing to put their political careers on the line to do what is in the best interest of their job description and be there for other people.
Right.
And those people, in my opinion, and historically, will be rewarded. The other ones are going to be in for a boatload of hurt that will happen to them, right? Unfortunately, we have lost human beings. We have lost lives. We've lost businesses. all of this stuff because of the fact that the priorities of what should be done, people tried to have it both ways, tried to not stick their neck out, and all of this stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But those who did pivot, and we like just bring it back because I want to kind of get off this rant for a
Yes,
minute.
I guess, right.
Okay. One of the things that I did, and it was really kind of like, okay, what do I do with myself right now, right?
Right.
And it wasn't like an opportunistic thing. First thing I did is I said, okay, well, I'm really curious about how people are doing. I want to know how people are dealing with this. How are they faring, right? And I started doing the Raad Life almost on a daily basis.
Yes, right.
In
Yeah,
fact,
you increased the frequency of it so you could talk to more people, right?
And that was really an interesting thing because I didn't necessarily do it consciously for this, but it turned into almost like a therapeutic session for me.
Right.
I was connecting with people, and we joke about the fact that whenever you and I are on the air, I'm basically your therapy session.
Yes,
But
exactly.
I'm sorry, there were other people that were therapy for me. But I talk to people, whether they're, and fortunately we have a really good roster of guests, and a shout out to all of them for being on the show over the last 5 years. But I tapped into a bunch of them, and how are you doing? How are you as a school, as a charter school owner? How are you faring with the students?
Mm-hmm.
You as a person who started a sewing circle to do masks, how is that going? A person who's basically in a city council position, what are you guys doing? How is this happening? Business owners,
Right.
How are you doing? Restaurant owners. So I started doing the show multiple times as an indirect benefit to doing the show. Not that either you or I basically were consciously about doing this,
Right.
is we were able to continue to feed content into OC Talk Radio in a period where a lot of the guests maybe were going, well, wait a minute, I don't know, at the end of the day, it's an additional expense. I don't know what my certainty is, whatever. So we carried a lot of content on that station.
And at a time when people were suddenly looking to go online and get content because I'm scared, I'm frightened, I'm confused.
And they're not getting that information somewhere else.
Exactly.
So they're looking desperately for some trusted source that's going to basically be candid and honest with them and basically share some things that could be potentially useful.
I think that in some ways, and you said this is going to put us on the map, and I think in some ways it did. It led us to, it increased our audience, it increased our opportunity to connect with people, and it made it even more relevant to have these conversations.
Paul, from a purely strategic, and you know me, I tend to do both sides of my brain. There's a lot of emotion, but there's also a little detachment. I can detach and look at things objectively. This is exactly what happened with CNN during the Gulf War.
Exactly.
When they embedded reporters with the Army. This is exactly what happened when Turner went from a small station in Atlanta to a huge global mega house. Not saying that that's happening to Ozarks County and bigger than our own pond, but yes, people were desperate for information and they needed a source to be trusted. And they looked around and they were getting biased messages, and ones that were motivated by self-interest or political interest or self-gain or whatever. And they're like, I just want somebody to tell me what I need to do, that I can trust, that I can hold on to.
Don't abandon me during these times. Don't leave me on my own here. We launched a couple new shows. We did the show with Dr. Trin, who's with Alzheimer's and whatnot.
Yes.
And his show has taken off. Your show continues to find an audience. And then out of that, what I found fascinating is you came up with another business model to form a production company. And we embraced it and we said, let's be part of that. And where we can get more common voices on. Maybe they aren't people who can afford to come in the studio or need all this, but let's democratize it. Let's find ways to get even more voices on the air and on the station.
You know how that transpired. I mean, Golden Seal Productions was something that we were toying with, and we're kind of doing a bit of other shows.
Right.
And trying to expand it, which I think is a natural evolution after doing a show for 5 years.
Right.
What else can you do? And people start asking you like, well, how do you do this? And you're like, wait a minute, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. You could really screw yourself over, back yourself into a corner. 6 months later, you go, what the hell do I do now?
Right.
So let's help you strategize that. But that was all it was. What was happening when I was interviewing people is I was actually finding out that there were people that had a voice that really deserved to have a stage.
Mm-hmm. More than an interview, more than a one-time.
Right, but not only that, but they themselves have a voice that maybe, again, looking at back up, how my transition to this thing was very organic, and it was like a lark, and let's do it, and here we are 5 years later.
Right.
I could see the potential in some of these people that had an authentic voice. They had a message that they could share, they had the ability to be a funnel for other people, a filter for other people that would be a beneficial content development, right? And you know me, and you and I have been talking.
And we have a platform here now that's expanded. We've got a following on social media. We got a following in YouTube. We got a following on the
Right.
station and the live. So we could add, and we're always looking for more content. So is there another level, not the traditional?
Well, and I've got two that are technically in production, in pre-production right now. That will, one of them that will launch basically at the beginning of the year, and the other one. And again, the format that I approach is not over controlled. Like the approach that we've been doing, and again, I put out the word to people. If you're interested in doing something like that, reach out to Paul or I, goldensealproductions.com or OC Talk Radio, and let's talk to you about it, because we don't want you to lose the opportunity of actually doing this right and seeing where the journey will take you. That's part of the joy of doing this. But you know, we have Martina Kwan's Daring to Be.
Fascinating show.
Right.
I've watched a number of them on YouTube here.
And this is a lady that I know from undergrad. You know, she became a race car driver at the age of 50. She's a businesswoman and fully accomplished in her own right. She just started a performance driving school with her boyfriend at Willow Springs, right? I mean, it was a woman empowerment show, but it had a different voice to it. And her background is Eurasian. You know, she just interviewed somebody. We're going to be posting it today or tomorrow. She just interviewed somebody who was a former downhill Olympic skier.
Wow.
Right. We had a person the other day that was another junior Olympian. She had a person that was a news agent, a newscaster, an anchor from Florida. So it's like, Martina, you're a thoroughbred. Here's the course. Run with it.
Right.
Let's guide you. Right.
Share those stories, because she's coming at it from all those things you talk about are out of the mainstream. Right. Eurasian, woman entrepreneur, high-powered, runs with a jet set, fast crowd, all these things here.
But also at a point in her life where that is all seasoned and is her filter. Right. And so it's not just content for the sake of content, because there's a cacophony of content out there.
Right.
It's actually something that I feel has value, that could find and resonate a connection with people.
And we've talked about that before. In a world where everybody suddenly can be on the internet and on Zoom and on Skype and on YouTube and on a podcast, where is the curation of that? OC Talk Radio kind of does it for Orange County. You're doing it. You're going outside of our business realm and finding other curious conversations and bringing them to the channel.
Right. I mean, we tried to set up a therapy show and a life coach show with a lady that was basically working out of her house at a beach coastal community in Australia, and we never got that off the ground. But we got a show off the ground with a fellow San Clementian that has been on my show, JJ.
Right.
Wenrich, and basically he's a financial planner, but his take on it was financial education, and it's about, he wrote a book, and he's now interviewing people that are in the financial education field. Super important, given what we're dealing with economic realities and financial realities right now. And he's basically addressing it in a way. He has a voice. So his show is up and running. He's got more content coming every week. Javon Pera, who basically that's more of an awakening and sort of like spiritual connection show, and it's a little bit on a higher sort of self-actualization maybe level. He's been doing content. We have a ton of content to share from him that I haven't uploaded.
And the audience has grown. You look at the numbers that you get when you post these on. So again, we started this as a radio station, and that meant people come into the studio, pay for production like a typical radio station, and produce shows, and then we help develop an audience for them, and we sell commercials around them. What you saw the opportunity with, and I think this is going to be a big growth area for both of us in the coming year and for the community, is to add more voices. Maybe they're not weekly voices. Maybe they don't come to the studio. They produce it at home through Zoom and some other things. But then we take that show and not only nurture it and guide it and curate it and pick it, but then we take it and add it to the platform that we already have, which is truthfully most people listen to this later.
You remember before COVID, you telling me, well, what are you going to do with this? Why are you doing it this way?
Yes.
You see now why I didn't have the foresight of COVID. but there was something instinctively when I looked at this and I realized, first of all, I have a DNA wiring of basically it's more fun with other people.
Yeah,
That's just how I am, right?
Exactly.
But the other thing too is I'm not trying to basically get the kudos for the fact it's me.
Right.
No, it's them. And because they're all doing their thing and they're getting more and more into their zone and they're enjoying it, which is what's important, and they're sharing more and more openly, and they're connecting with other people, and they're feeding into their spheres of influence, we all get to take that journey together.
And on a practical level, their sphere becomes you're helping promote their voice, and therefore you're tapping into their community, and their community into your community, and into our community.
If you're doing a podcast or a show right now, you can go it alone, and you probably can succeed. But let's just talk about nuts and bolts here. Right?
I'm not so sure, because in the midst of COVID, I'm going to challenge you on that one, because in the midst of COVID, podcasts have doubled. We went from 700 to 1 million rather quickly, and now they're saying it's around 2 million.
I wasn't finished, Paul. So what I'm saying is, for that person who's thinking, I'm at home, I'm in front of Zoom, I'm doing this all the time, I'm getting more comfortable with the camera, and I really have a bone to pick or I have something to say, I'm going to basically do a podcast. Well, there are a lot of people that do a podcast where it's only them talking.
Right. Most of them.
Very few of those, I feel, succeed.
No, they run out of stuff to say. They know if it's me about me all the time, it gets old fast, and you run out of steam.
There are people they're really good at it. I have a friend of mine that basically does for his spine. Really good at it. Very short, every day. He does every day. I don't know how the hell he does every day.
Right.
But there are people that can do that, but it's not the norm.
No.
The other thing, to your point, is now we have a lot larger market of voices and podcasts and how to hear them and where to get them and all this stuff. Okay, so if you're somebody who's doing this, who's starting, the first thing I suggest to you is sit down with somebody like Paul and I and get a strategic read on what you're doing. Because we will tell you honestly, if there's value, maybe we enhance it. If there's no value, maybe we rethink it. You know, you may come in and say, oh, this is what I want to talk about. And we go, well, hold on a second. If you talk about this in 3 months, you're going to be out of stuff to talk about. Why don't we look at a bigger umbrella or a different angle?
You talk about that all the time. Yeah,
strategic
guidance,
planning for this is super critical.
Right.
The other thing is you are now part of a potential family versus on your own. And here's the practicality. The practicality is my show is 5 years on OC Talk Radio. Javon's show, for example, or Martina's show has been on there for a couple of months. But because of the affiliation, you are able to tap into a larger circle of audience that's going to OC Talk Radio or to Golden Seal Productions for quality content they can count on.
We are the Huffington Post. We have selected, in the same way they selected blogs, we're either developing our own podcasts or we're selecting podcasts and curating it and promoting it for the common good and a bigger audience and a bigger impact.
And don't get me wrong, you might have something to say, but it might be that what you should be considering is doing a short series of once or twice a month for a period of 3 months, because that's what you need. Maybe it's a seasonal thing where you come in and do it, right?
Exactly.
There is a way to find a niche for you, but you have to basically think about what benefit you get from actually sharing that with somebody like Paul and I and talking it through before you proceed, because it's also not one size fits all. It could be once a month. It could be twice a month. It could be every day. It could be.
And until you came along, I let me just congratulate you, because until you came along and really said, I'm going to jump into this field, even if I don't make any money in the beginning, I'm going to start this off and see where it goes.
Wait, you're supposed to make money in it?
So even though, you're willing to explore this, and it's the early days, and it's like the beta testing, you're trying things out and experimenting, what kind of conversations, what kind of frequency, what kind of people you run into. I was bombarded for the last 5 years and couldn't handle any of this. I do a meetup group called OC Podcasters, and I don't do it enough, because every time I do, there are people who come out of the woodwork and will come to now we do them by Zoom, but they used to come in person. And they all want to know the same question. How do I get started? Now, 99% of them are dreamers. They're never going to do anything. They're never going to actually pull the trigger. And if they do, they give up quickly because it's more work than they thought, or it's harder than they thought, or
people don't
whatever.
understand the
Yeah,
amount
it's
of
not
time
easy.
that
Yeah.
it can be done. Now, that being said, there's a way to do it smartly and where it does not overwhelm you. But again, there's such a thing as asking people that have been through this before. And if you talk to the right person that basically still shows promise and can see the benefits for someone who's jaded and burned out, you're going to get the message that they have. So be careful also who
Yes.
you talk to when you're about to do this.
So I was going to say, and I don't do enough with it. We've got hundreds of people who ostensibly join this meetup group, and they all come to one or two meetups, and then they fizzle out, and I don't follow through because I didn't have a plan or a purpose. My mind's at a higher level. If I'm going after businesses who are trying to, meet people and show themselves to be thought leaders and turn that into leads and turn that into conversations or turn that into content.
Are you telling me that you were following a traditional business model, and because of COVID and me being a burr under your saddle, you actually had to pivot?
Yes.
Wow. Well, hold on a second. Hold on.
So, in fact, I've had a couple of people come to me of late and say, because of the technology, we've all run Adapt, Facebook and stuff. No, it doesn't look good. Maybe sound is good and everything else. But here's what I want to do. Well, I'm looking for more of a personal passion story. I'm looking for a hobby. I'm looking for something I believe in. And this isn't something I'm going to do to necessarily promote my business. And therefore, it's a business expense that I can factor in. This is how do I get into the conversation? And I'm like, well, I'm developing business shows by and large, and this is a way for them to connect with their audience and communicate with their audience and create content and SEO.
949-212-8299. Call me, don't bug Paul, and I'll take care of it.
So I was dropping a lot of these people and saying, when you get, I can't help you. I have a platform though that reaches people and has a following because we have a community of business shows, and we aspire to be a community radio station, not just a collection of business shows. So how do we get more community voices in there? That's been the Raad Life's beauty of you bring politicians in and other things, that not necessarily because you're going to profit from it, but because you, as an influencer, as somebody who's interested and wants to have their finger on the pulse. And yes, it filters down, and you find other ways. Like we'll talk about your mask company grew out of this, and some other things.
When we started the show, it was supposed to be a show about aging and the journey of aging, and it was really focused on that. And very quickly it pivoted. And I want to give a shout out to Carrie Kasem, because her very organic format as my first guest. Okay. I guess it's in her blood from her father.
Casey Kasem's daughter, for those of you who don't know.
Casey Kasem's daughter. Yeah. So shout out to Carrie, and she's an awesome broadcaster and radio personality and podcast personality in her own right. But she set the tone for it being an organic format, and so it easily kind of transitioned from being a focus on aging and a journey of aging. And I think when you said you're an age explorer, I'm like, okay, I'm not an age explorer. I'm just interviewing people that are in the aging industry. But then it became my journey of aging.
Exactly. And then you let me tell about my journey in there, and my parents' journey and my aunt's journey and all that. You opened it up to others' journeys, and other people came in. It was it's your journey, and your journey is not unique. We're all going through this journey together, and now we're going through this journey of pivoting in COVID, and that becomes part of the story too.
That I think, Paul, is really the common thread in a lot of the shows that we're developing or have developed.
Yes,
is that it is that person's journey, and we're going along for that journey. And it is always, if you come to me and you say, okay, it's all about me, and I want to always be about me, and also, guess what? I appreciate that's your point. It doesn't fit with my model. My model is where that person that is the host is the foil, is the filter that I am filtering through. I'm tapping into that show to see their perspective as they engage with this person. It's a very Larry King approach.
It's a prism. I'm looking at life through their eyes. I'm looking at life through their experience, through their lens. Right.
Through their lens. Okay, so pivoting.
So let's just finish
right here with OC Talk Radio.
So that led to you exploring Golden Seal Productions and bringing in other more personal journey stories that didn't fit
but
our
then,
usual
to be
format.
honest, there was something else that happened, and it's kind of funny because it reminds me of a story of why I basically, donated monies to the Obama campaign first time around, and how that started is basically at that point in time, when Obama first started his campaign, I wanted a T-shirt for the campaign, and I couldn't get a T-shirt. I couldn't get a T-shirt. I couldn't get a T-shirt. I couldn't get a T-shirt for the campaign, and so I'm like, what the hell? So I knew enough about Photoshop that I basically designed my own T-shirt, and then I ironed it on, and I made my own T-shirt. And the reason why I couldn't get a T-shirt for the campaign is because that he caught fire so quickly that the union shops were not ready to produce the stuff, and because the Democratic Party is very solid about supporting unions, they needed all the merchandise to be done by union shops. The union shops were nowhere close to being ready. So I designed my own little thing, and of course, social media, blah blah blah, back in 2008, right? 2008, yeah, 2008.
Yeah, right.
I basically put it out like, hey, anybody else want a T-shirt? Call me or contact me. I'll send you the file. It's already in reverse. Here's the thing you go buy from Office Depot or Staples that is an Avery package number, blah 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 blah. You print it on your inkjet printer. You put it on a white T-shirt. You iron it. You got yourself an Obama T-shirt, and there you go, right? And that ended up getting an email sent from Obama headquarters while they were ramping up to get merchandise.
Wow.
Where they said to people, hey, listen, we're really working on getting the merchandise to you guys, but in the meantime, if you want to make your own T-shirt, contact Rod and he'll send you a thing. I think I sent out.
Really?
I think I sent out about 200 or 250 emails to people with this graphic. I wish to God I could still find the email, Paul. I wish to God I could find it. But
I didn't know that story. I never
True
knew
story.
that story. Okay.
Yeah, true story. And then I kept adding designs every time. Here he is on an international trip. Here he is in Florida, whatever. I kept adding these designs onto a Cafe Press site, and money that came in, I just donated to the campaign. So I think somewhere in the ethers, there's a Cafe Press site that has 94 designs for Obama. Okay, that basically where you could put on everything you want, buttons, T-shirts, whatever. But that is very funny, and I'm sharing the story why, because here we are in March of 2020, and I'm looking around, and we're all scared, and I can't get friggin' toilet paper, and I can't find masks, and I can't find sanitizers. So I'm like, okay, let me research sanitizers. Okay, I have an aloe vera plant in the back. I'm a part of the spa industry, so I have some essential oils. I need some 99%, rubbing alcohol. Wait, hold on. I have a bunch of that from when I used to use it for like burners for fondue pots. So I'll put the three together and I'll come up with my own hand sanitizers. Okay, got the hand sanitizers. Okay, what am I going to do with the toilet paper? Okay, thank God that kind of didn't last too long and I got it sorted out. But we were looking at possibly, buying a couple of the bidets that you could put on your toilets. And we even talked, and then masks. I can't get masks. Where am I going to get masks?
That's the hardest one. That's the biggest shortage of all.
And I'm talking to people, that are hospitals, and they're telling me about how, the minimum order for masks, speculators were basically doing $1 million minimum orders. You have to pay $500,000 in advance. Some cases, the hospitals or people are paying the deposit never saw a mask for the life of them for their money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
A lot of ripoffs out there. Yeah.
A lot of ripoffs. And so I'm like, okay. And then I ran into this lady, Stephanie Odo, who's a friend of my sister's. And Stephanie Odo is, she just recently ran for Laguna Niguel City Council, but she had been on a city council in Florida.
Right. And
at that point in time, she was not, all she did is she set up a group of sewers, because her point was she was trying to figure out a way to provide masks for senior centers, for hospitals. Nobody had masks. And so these people that were sewers, at one point she had something like 600 ladies that were sewing masks. And they put out something like, at the end of this, they're still active, but when they were in the height of their activity, they put out something like 54,000 masks that were sewn by people. They submitted people would get requests. So and so would need masks. This senior center, they sent masks to the Teddy Roosevelt, the ship that was hit by the COVID.
Yeah, right.
In the Navy, through Guam. All right. So I'm looking at all this, and of course with the radio show, I'm like, wow, this is a great story. I got to have Stephanie on the show.
And we did. We had Stephanie come on and talk about this mass collaborative that she set up in South County. And there were other people around the country that were now basically looking to replicate that model, right? I mean, talk about stepping out, doing something that you feel a need for, and it catches fire.
Right.
So I interviewed her, talked to her about it, all of this stuff. And then I said, I would love to have a mask. So she sent me a mask that was like a fish mask thing. And I was like, because I told her I wanted leopard or animal print. She's like, well, this is the only animal print I found. It was like fishes going up and down. It's like, you know what? I love that mask. I still have it. But then it got me thinking, okay, what is going to happen to these ladies once this thing is over? Because I'm still thinking it's 3 months, it's going to be over, or whatever.
Yeah, right,
blah, blah, blah,
right.
So I also was hearing from a lot of people that I know that are in the fashion industry, that are in the tailoring, custom tailoring business, that nobody was buying suits, nobody was buying shirts, nobody was buying any custom clothing. So they were all basically hurting.
Right.
So on a total lark, I said, hey, why don't we just let's make custom face masks.
Another total lark in Rod's life. Let's do a radio show. Let's do a face mask company. Let's create a production company. Let's just see what you're like. The Mickey Rooney of.
Let me do it. Let me go do an arts and crafts. 12 weeks for interior design at the Interior Design Institute in Newport Beach, and here we are, 94 to 2020, working as an interior designer.
Right.
Yes. Yes. You have captured the essence of my life. Be open. If I have to say something to anybody, is be open to where the journey will take you.
Right.
No decision that you make, in most cases, unless it's something that could cause you bodily injury, no decision that you make is fatal.
Yeah, that's
most
true. It doesn't kill you.
99% of decisions that you make could be adjusted, whatever, but be open to the journey, because I'm a living example of this. So on a lark, we're like, let's do masks. Sure. 10 days later, we got a website. Okay. We're talking to people in the fashion industry, and they're like, hey, we have all these fabrics we're not doing anything with, these remnants, whatever. So we started off with even like gifted fabrics. From one batch came from the UK, another batch came from somebody else, right? And we started doing face masks, and it was very simple. Here's the face mask. It's 2 sizes. Boom, done. We had maybe, I don't know, 15 fabrics or whatever. And the idea was, I don't want to basically make them and sell them and have carry inventory, because who the hell knows? This could be over in 2 weeks.
Right. So
you order it. You pick your fabric, you order it. Hey, how about a nice touch? You can get it monogrammed. You can have your initials on it.
Custom.
And that's it. Custom, handmade, and local in the United States, right here in Orange County, right? And then I knew full well that there might be a point where we start maybe needing to do these things for companies, like a little bit more branding element, right? Because my brain is sort of creative and marketing and all that stuff's happening at the same time. Anyway, so the thing about it is that what started off as a very small thing, and I remember that whole thing about flatten the curve.
Right.
Well,
the infection curve, right? Yeah.
We got a little snippet. We'll give a shout out to Carl Schmidt, who's a reporter at Channel 7. We got a little snippet on Channel 7 about it, and we took off. I mean, and they're talking about flattening the curve, and the sales curve, Paul, is doing this.
Yeah. Really.
Right.
Really.
Yes. Between March and May, we were on fire.
This new company. Let's give a shout out. You gave it a name. You didn't give it the Rad name.
Taylor with an I, because Taylor with a Y in my mind is golf.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So it's Taylor with an I. Taylor as in sewing. TaylorMadeFaceMask.com.
Tailor-made face mask, like a tailor.
Right.
A tailor shop.
Tailor-made face mask, like tailoring, right? Like sewing. So right now, we have 120 fabrics.
What?
Yes. We have holiday fabrics. We have winter.
And you got
fabrics.
designs. You gave me this one a while ago. Which is so cool. Right after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Yeah.
When the notorious B.I.G. died, we basically wanted to make sure, because a lot of people were looking for something to really support her. Yeah, Paul is having a problem with his green screen, but
yeah.
it says fight for the things you believe in.
Yes.
And so we wanted to basically provide those for people, and we did it at a very low cost. Our average mask, you can have it with a filter pocket, without a filter pocket. You can have it monogrammed. it basically starts at $25, but there's always a promotional code somewhere that gives you a discount on the site, right, that you can use. And it went gangbusters. And all of a sudden we're like, wait a minute, 7 to 10 days, we're going to fill these orders. Because the other thing too is, even though what we were trying to do was provide an appealing way to use something that we were basically fighting against needing to change our lives to use.
Mm-hmm.
So make it a little bit more fashionable, have a little bit more control over it, have a little bit more freedom in selecting what it looks like, personalize it,
Yeah.
right?
Not this,
then,
not the hospital mask look anymore here. Let's
hold that up for a minute, Paul, too, because here's the other thing. Disposable masks, which are still being used in volume.
Right. We bought it. We got a box of them here for guests that come in. Yeah, right.
Disposable masks have a hidden problem that we are not even consciously aware of fully, but it's happening and has been happening. And think about the impact of it being that we've been using disposable masks for a year. They're all ending up in the ocean,
yes,
in the parking lot, in the
lots.
landfills.
Yeah.
Disposable masks are an environmental crisis that is not getting attention because there's other things like COVID. That's where we're focused on. But part of, and I haven't really pushed it as an appeal, but it makes me feel good to not promote something that is impacting the environment negatively and promote an alternative that could be beneficial. So all our masks are washable. They are made by hand, made to order, customizable, within certain parameters that we have on the website. We also have the ability to do them for businesses. We can do them printed, again, all locally done, or we can do them for, by where they're sewn. And in all cases, we try to meet a 7 to 10 day deadline.
Now let's talk about some of your breakthrough. Because of the, I'm just going to stop you for a second. So, and because a lark leads to well, let's try this. Turns into a whole new business for designer Rod Gantos doing designer masks.
Which basically does two things. It allows me a creative outlet to my creative need to basically have that part of my daily life. It makes me feel good because I'm doing something that is also beneficial, even if it's psychologically giving somebody a sense of feel good when you're wearing something that they don't want.
Maybe they'll wear a mask because it doesn't look so bad. Maybe they won't throw it away and fill up the landfill. Right. You know, you're doing your part to get rally people.
And again, I give a shout out to Katrina Foley and Lucy Dunn because they were really partners in the messaging about this. We were all talking about the same thing at the same time. You know, we made a connection to it's good for business. I don't care if you believe in the mask or not believe in the mask, but if you're trying to project an image that your business is safe for me to come and encounter you with, put a mask on your face that immediately sends that message.
Right.
I mean, there were things that really made sense. And if we had adhered to this and really enforced it instead of basically saying, we're not going to enforce, okay?
Imagine if the president had...
People know what I'm talking about.
I'll go back for 1 second. Yeah. Imagine if President Trump had said, not only am I telling all my faithful followers to wear a mask, and I'm going to do it, the mask has MAGA on it. The mask has Make America Great.
Paul,
and Trump.
Paul, here's
he could have had all of America put his face on his...
Here's the irony of all ironies. While they were saying no masking and we're not going to have masking and all this shit, they were sending requests for fundraising for the campaign. And as part of your fundraiser, you received a MAGA mask.
Right. So imagine if he had half of America all put his face and his message on them and wear it all day. What kind of branding?
Remember recently we had a bunch of yahoos basically wanting to burn masks down in San Clemente or whatever. Okay, one of them was interviewed by Voice of OC, and they basically said to him, "Okay, so why are you here?" "Well, I'm here for fighting for freedom, and nobody telling me what to do, and this is a free country, and Constitution, all whatever it is that they were spewing that was correct in principle, however skewed out of recognition, right, by their own delusional filtering." That person was then asked, "So you're here because also this is like there's going to be a mask burning, basically." Every time I say mask burning, it makes me think of 1930s Nazi Germany.
Yeah, well, it feels like that. Okay. Yeah, right.
Book burning, right? But you're also here for the mask burning. Yes, I am here for the mask burning. Okay, great. So you're going to burn your mask? No. Whoa. Well, why aren't you going to burn your mask? You're at a mask burning to support for freedom. Oh, well, it's a Trump mask and I paid for it.
So that one I'm not going to burn, but all those other ones I'm going to burn. Yeah.
I'm supporting mask burning because I can't, but I'm not. I'm going to keep this one. I paid for this mask, and it's a Trump mask, so I'm not going to burn it. So, be that as it may, here we are.
That's the state of the country right now. That craziness, that obvious hypocrisy, that obvious conflict, that obvious mixed message.
And in all due respect, I gently hand that back to them because I don't want to have anything to fucking do. It is not putting money in my pocket. It is not ensuring my family's safety. Have at it. You want to achieve herd immunity, or is it going to be basically the thinning of the herd?
Yeah,
your call.
Right. Yeah,
Proceed.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyway, going back to the positive. So we pivoted to this thing. We started doing masks.
And you started doing with some big groups like Lucy Dunn and the Orange County Business Council came on board.
We provided printed masks very early on for Lucy and the Orange County Business Council. We did masks for Luciana's Italian restaurant down in San Diego and Dana Point. We did masks for Agewell. I donated masks for Agewell because here they are dealing with seniors. I'm dealing with seniors right there in my own home with my dad. They needed masks, so we donated masks. We tied in with the Hope Center for the Arts to try to do masks for them based on the artwork that basically was generated by their own clients that have mental difficulties, and to be used as a fundraiser. We teamed up with the Arab American Civic Council in Anaheim to start a campaign called Designate Little Arabia, which basically also provided support and highlighting of the restaurants and the businesses that would support the effort to designate what is already unofficially called Little Arabia. So the mask itself became a billboard of information.
Yeah.
All that stuff became an opportunity for us to express things creatively and also basically to be supportive.
Why isn't every brand, let me stop you there. Harley Davidson wants me to have an emotional tie to their motorcycles because of my age and I'm a man. Coca-Cola wants me to have an emotional attachment to that Coke and runs all these emotional ads. If you drink this, you'll feel like this. Why aren't they all sending me masks to put my brand on my billboard?
Because they're still holding on to the fact that is an anathema, and it's not something that they want to be associated with, which is sad because literally, if I put on a mask, it sounds kind of like redundant after a year of repeating this, everybody that's trying to promote masks. I'm not only protecting myself, I'm also care enough to protect you.
Exactly. So I'm showing care for the community. I'm showing common sense and personal responsibility for me. And it's kind of cool if everybody, the biggest misstep, the biggest misprediction I made was I thought after Trump quit fighting it and got behind it, we're going to rally the country. I'm going to be a wartime president. We're going to fight this thing.
No.
I thought that wearing masks was going to be the new she thing. Every celebrity would have one on. Every baseball player would have it. Every movie star would have it on. Every politician would have it on. And it wouldn't be this mask that they all wear, which is ugly and antiseptic and frightening because it's disease. It would be this mask. It's fun. It's creative. It's crazy. It's cool. It's my message to the world. It's me.
It's also upside down, by the way.
It's me. That's my message to the world. I'm upside down.
So let me show you some stuff. Okay, so I really like In-N-Out Burger. I happen to find a fabric that is palms, and so there's one fabric per mask.
Okay.
Now all our masks are lined with, so they're without the filter pocket. They're what is referred to as a 2-ply mask because it's 2 layers of fabric. Now, according to a Forbes study at the time of SARS, way back, they showed materials and what was the protectiveness of materials and how much of particle control or blocking do they do. One layer of cotton has a very high blocking ratio for particles. Okay.
Right.
This is 2 layers of cotton. Now, if you wanted a filter pocket, which we cut basically this, and there's a filter pocket that you can put a filter across the whole thing.
And what would be like a carbon filter or something? Or?
Yeah, so they sell them all over. It's on eBay, whatever, like the $1 a filter or 60 cents a filter, whatever. We haven't sold them through the website because there's just no margin in it. There's a lot of people that you can get it. But we provide a mask that can receive a filter. That gives you 3 layers, which is the 3-ply that everybody swears by, right? So you can have a mask like this that can do that. You can also be wearing a disposable mask, which I don't think you need. And then you could put one of these on top of it. And all of a sudden, right?
You can double mask.
So here's one. And here's one that basically has a monogram on it. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it right
Okay.
there.
Right. So there's a monogram right there. So that's one mask. Elections came around and campaigns and all this stuff, and we wanted to do Americana. So everybody was doing the flag and the stripes and stars and stripes. We did that. But there's a whole slew of patriotic materials that we have under the patriotic section of the shop, and here's one of them.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Red, white,
And
and
again,
blue in a
monogram.
fun way. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a fun way. And I always am trying to do stuff that is not just relevant now, but it could also be purchased later, because I don't want to carry material that basically is just right in the moment.
Yeah, right.
So, Breast Cancer Awareness Month came.
There you go. The pink mask, right?
Right.
The Susan Komen pink mask, right?
Right. Then we started doing other things like printed. We actually print the pattern. So I can print a pattern on fabric that is uniquely yours, and then make fabric masks out of that.
But you say this so casually. How did you ramp up? How did you find the suppliers? How did you find the assemblers? How did you find the sewers?
Part of it is, again, the lark. I found us the supplier to print masks across the whole thing when we were trying to do the Ruth Bader Ginsburg with a split, because up till that point, most of the other, and we can still do this, they print on one side or the other.
Right.
But to print across the whole thing, we went looking for that because we wanted to come up with a product for Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Right.
And if you pull that closer to the camera, you can see that there's actually even almost like a watermark pattern in that design. Right at the top, you can see it. There's a watermark pattern on the design. And so it is completely a blank canvas that we can basically customize to your brand 100% and get you a mask that basically speaks to your brand. It's not like every other food and beverage location that everybody's using.
Why wouldn't every restaurant want me promoting their brand? I'm a walking billboard. Why wouldn't every consumer product? Why wouldn't every charity?
What they support.
Yeah,
right?
Every charity.
Okay.
I believe in this.
Here's one from our winter collection.
But I get those. That's design. That's fashion. That's if I'm going to be forced to wear the darn thing, then I want it to look good.
I understand, Paul, but what I'm trying to show you is.
But messaging and branding is the next wave.
You want a high-end mask that's sewn? I can print whatever graphically you want. Your pattern in your interior, something that you stand for. You're the Hope Center for the Arts. It's artwork that you're being generated. We can print all of that on actual fabric and then make a fabric mask out of that. Or I can print it for a lower price point, and you can do more of a volume distribution, like we are doing, for example, for Designated Little Arabia. Or even better, what we've done, continuing to reinvent, renew, and reopen, right? Which is a presentation I'm going to be doing between Christmas and New Year. That's a collaboration between Rod Gantos and Associates design firm and El Triunfo Corporation in Santa Ana, because we really believe that right now we're all very focused on COVID. And we're focused on the fact that COVID is here, and once COVID is over, the sky is going to part and the sun's going to come down.
Everything is back to normal.
And we forget that before COVID, brick and mortars were desperate.
Dying.
Black Friday sales online were going through the roof.
Right.
You were basically you had closed down locations, retail locations on PCH in January of last year that I've never seen before. So we think that post-COVID, everything is going to be back to normal. Mm-hmm. We weren't going into normal to begin with. COVID just accelerated it.
And in fact, over the last 6 months, we've had a number of businesses all talking about how we stayed on the air. We've grown in some sense. We lost a few shows. We gained some shows. And one of the things they say over and over again is COVID didn't create a lot of these crises. They simply accelerated them. It was already happening.
It just accelerated. Personal relationships, business relationships, good, bad, or ugly, all of that happened. It's really an interesting
Zoom, podcasting, live streaming of television rather than going to movie theaters, buying online rather than buying in a store.
Now new movies, they're announcing that they're going to be released at the same time in movie theaters as well as online.
Yeah.
For streaming, HBO Live is going to basically, do it.
HBO, right?
Yeah. So again,
starting tomorrow with Wonder Woman, the new Wonder Woman 1984.
So again,
The issue is this: if you are focused right now on just seeing it through to the end of COVID, you're missing out on the opportunity to reinvent, renew, and prepare for reopening. The people that are smart about this, that have the means to do it, not everybody has, are actually taking this time to reestablish, to redevelop certain things. If you're a restaurant, you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to basically be sitting there bemoaning the fact that I don't have indoor seating or even outdoor seating. I'm just going to focus on really developing my delivery and menu, my tapas menu, creative openings. Why am I not basically offering people to come buy their Christmas meals from me? Mm-hmm. I bought Christmas meals for tomorrow for my family from a restaurant.
I'm not in the come sit down in my store business. I'm in the serving you food business.
Or I basically can have that attitude, or I can have the attitude of the fact that I'm going to sit down in my store business, and how dare you basically stop me from doing that? And I'm going to spend all my energy to fight that. Why don't you just take that fucking energy and do something else with it that's going to bring you money? And at the end of the day, when this is done and you go back to basically having in-house business, you may decide, I don't need that 2,000 square feet. I can get away with 1,000 because the revenue stream that I just generated from deliveries is exceeding what I was making in what do they call them, tickets.
Over and over again, we forget why we're in business. When George Westinghouse invented the refrigerator, the ice companies fought it because they thought they were in the ice business. No, you're in the keeping things cold business. When the airlines could have been bought up by the railroads for pennies, they fought them because they thought we're in the rail business. No, you're in the moving stuff around business.
Right.
And when newspapers have been going out of business, it's because they forget they're in the news business. They think they're in the newspaper business.
Right. And so this is a time, and it's usual that this time of year between Christmas and New Year that you sit down and you actually focus on what your strategy and goals are for the next year.
Right.
Because you have some quiet time. This is the time to basically realize that what we just went through was a paradigm shift, whether you like it or not. And if you're not basically embracing it, guess what? Your competitors are. And if they are, then you are basically looking for a boatload of additional hurt when this is over, because right now you may be getting stimulus money, or you might be getting some support from people, or whatever it is. But you got to basically be sitting here reinventing, renewing, and getting ready to reopen in a manner that is sustainable for the next 7 to 10 years. And if you're not doing that, you're missing an opportunity right now that you should not be missing.
Say those 3 R's again, because you rattle them off so quickly.
Reinvent.
Right. Pivot.
Renew.
What do you mean by renew?
Okay, so reinvent is literally looking at your business plan, at your offering, at what it is that you're saying, what is the business that you are really in.
Right.
But looking at it critically.
Right.
Not from a position where you're trying to defend your previous
Yes, exactly. Right, exactly.
Everything is up for grabs. And if you don't think that, your competitor is.
Right.
So get your head in the game, right? So that's reinvent. You got to sit back and reinvent yourself.
Okay.
The other thing is to renew. If you are in a business, a particular business, you have to renew your offering.
Which means come at it as if it's all new again. You're right out of the box again. You're brand new. You're a baby.
You have to renew for a number of reasons. One of which is it's been a friggin' year since people have interacted with you in a normal capacity.
Right.
And the people that are interacting with your normal capacity, even though they are repeat business, these people's behavior patterns, their purchasing patterns, their priorities and importances, and the thing that they value have changed over a year of being forced to change. So to think that you're selling to the same client that you were selling a year ago?
Reinvent, take a look at what you're all about, and maybe you got to pivot, renew, then start fresh with some new ideas and grow your business all over again.
And then the getting ready to reopen is this. Just because you had 3,000 square foot restaurant before COVID, do you need to have a 3,000? Well, I shouldn't say need. Is it a good business decision to maintain a 3,000 square foot restaurant, or should you be basically cutting down to 2,000 square feet, taking out a third of your overhead in terms of rent, because rents haven't gone down?
No.
Right? Your staffing. Are you able to handle some of your support staffing remotely and not have them be in the office, in the place of business? If you're a brick and mortar, if you're in service industry, whether you are a professional services company, whether you're food and beverage, whether you're retail, especially retail too. I mean, you guys, we were all heading for reinvention of how we were doing our business. COVID accelerated it. And if you have not spent the time during COVID to reinvent, renew, and get ready to reopen, then you're missing an opportunity that you should be doing.
Yes.
Okay. I practiced this in the course of the mass company, almost like it's like, I mean, I laughed. For 20 years, I've been doing proposals and selling proposals.
Right.
All of a sudden, I had a product that I was selling, and it reminded me of being in business school, where somebody said to me, okay, look, go do a paper on a widget, invents a widget, and see what you could do with it in terms of marketing. So we started off with a company that had fabrics that we were able to get. Then we expanded the offering of the fabrics. Then we started basically providing customization for businesses to help them through this, and also to provide PPE, right? I mean, like, you know, that was unique, brandable, differentiates them from their competition, gives them possibly an edge, and projects the fact that they care enough about their clients that they're basically performing safety in their own work environment, right? And their employees, by the way, not just their clients. Then we're like, okay, so what do we do now? All right. And I'm going to show you, like, I said, like, this is a business. It's embroidered. These are going out. This lady is a realtor, Wendy Hooper Ross. She's sending these out as client gifts and also for her team. So here's the embroidery, and the interior is a pebble pattern that is the same as her color palette. And these are reversible masks.
Smart.
So
She immediately, rather than handing them a pen or some other tchotchke that they're going to lose and forget, it's something they'll remember, it's something they'll use, and every time they put it on, it promotes her and reminds them she helped me.
You're also saying, look, I care enough about you that I'm not telling you something that you have to wear with my name on it. You can also have a nice mask that you can wear without my name on it, because guess what? You know whose name is on the inside.
Right, exactly.
It's like when you're wearing a high-end piece of clothing, you know whose brand you're wearing.
Very smart.
Right.
So are you making any money at this? Is this still in the early experimental stage, or is it moved into a?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Because I wonder. I mean, you know,
I'm doing okay. It's not a crazy windfall, but I'm doing okay. And more importantly for me is it actually is keeping me involved, creative. And I'll tell you one thing that it has also done. Just like with the Raad Life that you said is not a show about promoting my business. This is not about promoting the mask company per se. The fact that I'm creatively out there, putting out creative ways of masking, talking about stuff like this, has now made me continue to be relevant and in front of people in a positive manner.
In the conversation. Right.
In the conversation. Still got a seat at the table.
Right.
Right.
And so that's what influencers do. They have a seat at the table. They have followers who follow them, but they
have you noticed how little influencers online has happened in the last year?
Yeah, really.
Right. Yeah. The people that have held on, very few. Everybody else that just went by the wayside. We've had a paradigm shift on everything
because they weren't bringing anything of value. They were amusing us, they were entertaining us, but they weren't.
Billboard.
Yeah, they weren't bringing. It was fluff. It was candy. It wasn't. It wasn't any there.
They rode the wave in the economy and in the attention industry, or the attention economy, and now we are, because of what we went through cumulatively and commonly, we are looking for contents and substance in a way that we did not do before COVID.
That mask. All right, so we all know Wendy. She's been a guest on your show and other shows here. Sharp lady, powerful story. She talks about how she married somebody that was dying and all this and passed away. And it reinforces who she is. She cares. It reinforces she's cared enough to care for somebody who was dying and to make a commitment to them. That's a rarity. When you get to know that story, that tells everything you know about Wendy. And so when I'm giving you this mask, it's not just a pen that you'll find amusing.
It's an I care.
I care about you,
I care.
And I'm going to do it in a way that you can still show the world you care, and I care about you, and I'm thinking of you, and I'm giving you something of value.
Yes, exactly. And I think there's a lot of coming together with that. There's a lot of positivity in that, and at a time when we need it. You're sending the kind of message that people want to hear. I have somebody in my corner. They care about me. Yes, I understand they're in business,
Right.
but you know, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a gift component, whether it's somebody that basically is using it for fundraising, there's something I can feel good about receiving this and giving it, right? So okay, now we're doing business stuff. So you know me, I get kind of bored. I want to basically take it to the next level. So reinvent, renew, and reopen. So
I wrote that down.
I've
I'm
got
going to keep that
120
in front of me here. Yeah.
I've got 120 fabrics on the website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling masks with one fabric on one side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Christmas comes around, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I wanna do I mean, we've had clients like the Music Center in Los Angeles. We did a mask for a I cannot even speak about it because I had to sign an NDA, but
Right.
they had a commemoration or a inauguration of something with a huge endowment that they got, huge. And we did masks for them for that event.
Mm-hmm.
And there were high-end masks that were keepsakes that were people took. Like I keep telling people like that are doing events, small little events. You should have a mask right sitting on the plate on the table.
Oh, what a brilliant idea.
We're doing one right now that's for the White Out Rally that's put on by Life.com, which is a car company for rims and accessories. We're doing masks for them for their 30 cars, 50 people that are going to be doing this rally, right? There's a lot of opportunities where this could become a really positive messaging tool, right? And where you have, what we're trying to do is we're trying to not do, by the way, there's no volume. You can order one, you can order many. If you're ordering many, we give you a little bit of break, but there's no minimums on any of this stuff.
That's amazing. Because usually you got to buy 1,000 of them or something.
Zero minimums. You want 10 masks printed, you want 2 masks sewn, whatever. Because I want to make sure that the people who want to get this and want to have access to it, they have access to it.
Well, today, aren't you picking up 5 masks or some crazy thing here?
I did. I picked up 5 masks that are going to one person that I'm delivering to them in Irvine. They placed the order last week. I promised them that they would have them. I'm delivering the stuff for Wendy for her to basically get out for people. I'm probably going to come back and pick up 2 things that I will talk about in a minute that are a new product that we put out that I came up with. But before I get there, so I'm sitting with a website of 120 masks, right? 120 fabrics. So I'm like, well, can we make them reversible? Because the way that we used to make them, you can't really reverse it.
No.
Can we make them reversible? Why? Because I don't really want to carry 2 masks. I might be wearing like
the typical health mask is not reversible. It's one size, one thing. Right.
The honest truth is, I started going to work out at Monarch Beach because they have an outside pavilion, right? Mm-hmm. So of course, me being that I'm in Monarch Beach and I'm thankful to the people that helped me get into the membership there, I make Monarch butterfly masks for all the membership staff, right? I realized that Monarch Beach doesn't even have masks to sell in the retail location. So I even packaged it so that it could potentially go into the retail and be sold, right? So I found 2 fabrics, orange butterflies, mariposas, made them, gave them to the ladies, love them. I go work out. I've got, of course, a workout mask fabric that I'm wearing. And then depending on what I'm going to wear, I'm going to shower there and I'm going to leave. I'm not going to wear an exercise mask, so I've got to carry another mask. So maybe I don't want to carry 2 masks. I want to carry 1 mask. So what ended up happening is we came up with a reversible mask. So here's an example of something I'm delivering today. So here's one side. Mm-hmm. You can wear it this way. Here's the opposite side.
Let me see that. Yeah, look at that.
Right?
How does it even flip? Because you would think it's formed one way and that it doesn't really flip over.
Well, that's the beauty of the design. I'm not giving you the design. Buy a mask, you can see how it's designed. But and again, no metal. There's no metal. It's totally washable. The way we designed this, not only is it no metal that the ridge knows, it also doesn't fog up your glasses because of the fact that the way the airflow is designed on the mask.
That's what I noticed about you. All these other ones, I wear glasses. They fog up all the time here.
Yeah. My dad wears glasses. I wear glasses. Unfortunately, my eyes are shot because I stare at screens too much. And I basically designed this thing to where it does not have any issue. And it's totally like, see, there's no metal, there's nothing in it. And we've added these recently so that basically in the in-between sizes, you can adjust it. You see that?
Amazing.
So that's a reversible mask. So now
Rod Gantos, are you still designing restaurants? Is that in your past, or is that still in the present and the future? Are you a multi? Is that it? We've all got 5 gigs going at once here.
No, hell no. Of course, I'm designing. I'm still designing businesses. I'm working on a, ironic life story here. I'm working on an assisted living in Stanton that's a memory care that's 122 bed, 66 room, 80 square feet, 80,000 square feet, ground up building. It's the largest project in Stanton. And my father is suffering from dementia and Parkinson's, and so I'm basically getting research at home to apply in the design. And so we're doing that. We're working on a project in collaboration with another company. We're doing a project in Texas that's a hotel project. It's a 1925 building that they're bringing back on. It's an exciting project. So we've kept busy. I got a couple of home residential projects here where we're doing home offices, because that's another important thing now.
Yeah, right.
I've got a doctor. We did a home office for a doctor, and we wanted to make sure that it was set up so he could do telemedicine from that office.
Yeah. Right.
So we incorporated a pull-down green screen in it. We incorporated technology in it. All kind of the correct lighting in it. That's not an office anymore, and that's not only just an office. It has to also have multiple desks in there, because it also is used as home officing for the kids, right? And maybe his wife's running a business out of there as well as him.
We're having to build new, as you always talked about, having to adapt our homes as we stay in them longer. We're going to also have to adapt them. And
because of the way our lives have changed.
Exactly.
That media center is not a media center. That could be your face to the world for your in-home business shopping network.
I think you're onto something. Everybody has to have a production network, a production space in their house now.
Right. And the kid, that's not a TV that they're just playing Xbox on. That's also the portal to his school. So it's the kitchen is no longer just the kitchen. It's a major gathering space as everybody is congregating in their home and sequestered and not on top of each other.
And maybe maybe you're bringing people in who can't share in the family meal.
The health component for interiors. We teamed up with a company that does air purification systems and the air conditioning systems, retrofit or new construction, that guarantees 98% or 99% of particle capture.
Wow.
Now, if you're a business right now, going back to the business thing, if you're a business right now, if you think people are going to not care about the safety of your environment after COVID has now been vaccinated out of existence, think again. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? How are you going to claim that you have a quantifiable, measurable way to say that my environment is healthy, and that when you come in here, the air quality is such that here's the certificate that says you have this much control? If you don't have that, then you're missing out on a sales opportunity and a marketing opportunity.
So there's a chance for as a home designer to pivot into a whole new field, how to create your own media production center, your own portal to the world here. Sure. And restaurants, how to build in safety features that you never thought were important before.
Which, by the way, is not a new idea. I mean, everybody who's been in the music industry has had a recording studio in their house.
Right.
People have, or in their garage. People who dabble in the digital, video making for their families or whatever have had like kind of a center thing. This just makes it more mainstream, and it's got to be done in a manner that is sensitive, so that we don't look like a friggin' production studio when you walk into their home.
Yeah, wires and everything hanging all over the place. Right. We have one of our shows as a guy who's a car designer, and he used to be with Nissan for 10 years, and then he left. He's freelancing now, and busier than ever because everybody's trying to come up with self-driving robotic cars and all this stuff. And he used to fly. He was regularly flying to China and other places to go, be on hand and look at the clay model. Yeah. Now they're designing them. They sent him one of these big companies. He just did Zook, this big one that just came out, which they rebranded it as E-Motion, and it's a self-driving taxi type of thing, and just came out. He was the head designer of that, and what they're doing now is they're all doing it in VR. So he said to set up a VR studio in his house. He said,
it cuts down on the cost of travel. It cuts down on downtime and jet lag and all that shit. It cuts down on cost of production.
But he didn't know how to integrate that into his little house in West Hollywood that this old craftsman cottage house has.
So he had to expand outside his comfort levels on how he used to do business to basically meet the new demand. And this is what I'm saying. Right now, we have a cloud called COVID that you cannot see through because that's what's right in front of you. But don't forget that before this cloud descended, we were already heading into a situation where we had to reinvent, renew. We now are just adding reopen on it. Okay. But it's always there. So again, what the latest thing that we've done with the mask company, because again, it's almost like a laboratory to experiment.
Yeah,
with this
right,
philosophy, right. The last thing, the latest thing that I've been doing with this mask company, and people have been looking at me for the last 2 hours that we're sitting here talking, right? I don't know how many of them realize that what I have around my neck is actually not just a scarf.
It's not.
It's
You talked
it's
about
what I'm
this
calling
before.
a marth, because it's a mask and a scarf combo. So here it is.
Oh, I like that. Sort of like what other people are calling like neck gaiters or something here.
But neck gaiters are tight.
Yeah.
And neck gaiters still look like I got a bunch of fabric sitting on my neck, right?
Right.
This thing, and you can hear me, right?
Right.
I'm breathing, no issue whatsoever. This is a mask that tucks away when I'm not using it into the scarf.
And I get a fashion accessory.
And I have a fashion accessory. So right now, it's winter. I would wear a scarf. If I'm up in Big Bear, it might be cold. I might want to put a mask on my face to protect my face. This is a combination. So does this now become a product that survives past COVID?
Who knows? Stay tuned to the Rad Life, ladies and gentlemen, as he continues to pivot. You're a living prime example of somebody who was, like all of us, enraged, shocked, knocked back on our heels by what hit us. Only instead of crying and rolling over, you pivoted, you adapted, and you've thrived, and you're excited. It's opened up new doors and new chapters, which don't necessarily close the other doors. Doesn't kill your design business.
It actually improves them, Paul. It puts them in a clearer perspective. It's you and I have said this because we were doing these shows at the beginning of COVID. And I used to say this all the time, and I kind of stopped saying it because I got sick and tired of hearing myself say it. But basically, at that moment in time, you had an ability to make a decision.
Right.
The decision was: are you going to have a bunker mentality,
right,
or a growth mindset?
Right. Wow.
If you have spent the last year having a bunker mentality, I'm here to tell you that people in your own industry, in your own path, in your own career, have not had a bunker mindset. They've had a bunker mentality. They've had a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get your head in the game and have a growth mindset.
Well,
because it's a great opportunity for you to find your own, whether it's a voice through a podcast or a product or reinventing what the services that you're doing. And guess what? We get to do that right now on our own terms more than ever before. I could be employed by a multinational company and working out of home, and it is totally fine. I could be wearing a mask, and nobody looks at me as an odd thing at all.
Mm-mm.
So embrace the change.
Embrace the change. Well, we've changed. I wonder if if some people look at us say we've left our other studio where we were there for the last almost 7 years, and we've embraced and built a bigger and better studio, which not only has the podcast component, but this other part that I'm just finishing, which will be more of a YouTube kind of social media video studio. And we're at the Innovation Center here at the University of California, Irvine, which is bursting and ready to open. It's pretty much shut down because of COVID, but when it reopens, they have a spectacular event spaces. And part of the pivot we're hoping is not only offer more services and more way to tell the story, not just audio but video, as we've adapted, as you've all forced me into, but to also bring in more remote stuff, and to also do more when we return. I think there's going to be an explosion of live events. We've been hungry for the touch and the in-person stuff, but they'll be different. They'll be different.
The way that they will be presented will be different, and this is the thing that yes, we are all hungry for social engagement. Yes, we are all hungry for live events. Yes, we're all hungry for basically being again out in person, but we are going to deal with it in a manner that is different and in ways that we probably are not even aware of right now, because we just went through a cumulative, this isn't even limited to Southern California. The whole world just went through a cumulative readjustment. Reset. So, and here's the thing. It's exciting. I mean,
once you get past the fear, it's exciting. We had somebody on one of our shows just recently, and she is the head of Mandalay, I don't remember the exact title, but she's basically the head of the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. the giant competitor to the Vegas Convention Center that the city built. One of the, you know, and if you go to an event, you either go to the Vegas city-owned convention center or county-owned or whatever it is, or the independent Mandalay Bay, and they both have giant conferences and events there. And of course, their business has suffered because nobody's coming and doing events there. So I asked her 2 questions. I said, when it comes back, are all these new health care concerns going to be part of it? She said, oh yeah, we're going to have, for a long time, we're going to have masks and sanitizer stations and just, this is not just going to go back to the way it was. And I said, and what about live streaming? She said, absolutely. We used to be afraid of it because we thought it was in place of. I won't come to Vegas. I'll just watch it. She said, what we're realizing, it's in addition to. People will still come, and those who couldn't come or wouldn't come will be an add-on, not in place of.
It took the hospitality industry all this time and a friggin' pandemic to realize what I have been saying since '98. Okay? When I worked in conjunction with a guy, an author, on a 3D virtual reality book that he was authoring in Atlanta, where we basically were talking about the representation of a physical environment in a virtual environment and what comes out of that. And the novelty of the fact, oh yeah, you know, it's we have both. No, there was no novelty only. The fact was that if you were paying $2,000 for a friggin' booth for 3 days, you as the event center had to sell a certain number of booths, great. But you also have a limited finite resource in terms of property.
Right.
Okay, so Wing A and Wing B has the giants of the industry in a physical environment. Now that physical environment, for those who can't travel and can't meet, should have a virtual representation. However, beyond A and B, which is physical building space, you are limitless in how many other virtual halls you could have online that are equally represented virtually in a representative manner. And you are now selling, get this, you're selling airtime.
Yes.
You're selling ether.
Right.
Ether booths, ether exhibitor booths, and you are limitless. And me as a person who is maybe I'm sick, maybe I am
busy,
I have disability,
or busy,
maybe I don't want to be in a full environment of a lot of people because I'm still not sure. I can sit in front of my computer and go to every one of those exhibitors.
Which is exactly what you've brought to OC Talk Radio through Golden Seal Media. Which is the idea of people who aren't necessarily coming in and physically using our space, but can do it from home, less expensively, you know, and can still be part of our network and our content sharing program. And we we're a distributor of content. We're still going to produce some in-studio stuff, a lot of it, hopefully, because we got a big new studio.
It's not an either or.
Exactly.
I think the thing about it is that it works both ways. And if you're smart, just like we're talking about, it's not an either indoor dining or outside delivery. It's both, and they both have a place. And when you start embracing that, you find other things like, well, wait a minute, maybe I can do seasonal baskets. Maybe I can do promote that business. You know, I mean, this lady right here, I've got a box right here. I want to end with this. Okay?
All right, because we got to go. I got another show coming up here.
Yeah, that charcuterie girl.
Charcuterie, little cut meats.
Cut meats. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Oh, wow.
So let me get the fork and knife out of it. You see that?
Beautiful. Yeah, tilt it up a little more there. Yeah. Beautiful box, bow, ribbon, everything.
Right. So she's got Christmas candy. She's got fruit in there. She's got crackers. She's got a salami flour. She's got cheese in there. Okay. She's operating out of her house in San Clemente.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a $65 gift for somebody that I'm basically dropping off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is,
I'll be here till 4 if you want to bring it by here.
Yeah, you get yours later. but basically, I've given you the gift of my presence.
Oh, all right.
but no, I mean, you got to think outside the box. Sorry, ironic, but you got to think outside the box. And you really got to be, like, if your head has not been in the space of reinvent, renew, and get ready to reopen, you need to get in there. And like I said, I'm doing this presentation with in collaboration between Rod Gantos and Associates design firm and Ultra Info Corporation in Santa Ana, which is a business consultancy firm, basically, Carlos Goman, or Goyman, sorry. He and I are putting this together because last year or the year before, what we had is he had somebody come in who was like a strategy coach, and we had like goal setting for the next year. And we felt that this would be a way to virtually do this similarly. And so I'm putting the word out. People should follow me on social media, or maybe we'll post it and announce it through OC Talk Radio, but there will be a time. And get your questions ready. Get your thoughts ready. Let's actually we're all in this together.
Yes.
Let's share the wealth of the knowledge.
Because the journey continues.
This journey continues.
Well, I hope that you will bring everybody you've just rattled off, the charcuterie girl, Carlos, mask people, new ideas of home media centers.
Robin from that charcuterie girl website and so on Facebook, she's going to actually be on the show between Christmas and New Year and probably closer right after Christmas, because again, I said to her, let's highlight you and what you're doing and tell your story where it also has a potential impact on people ordering for the New Year's.
Exactly. Don't give up.
The reason why we're ordering food from the restaurant is not only to support the restaurant. We're not going to have as big a group of people for Christmas. So I don't want to cook and waste.
Right.
So if I can order stuff and help the business, but also make it easy on us and not add the pressure of cooking and all this stuff, we can still augment the meal with something that is family recipe, but you don't have to. It's an exciting time right now to reinvent, renew, and get ready to reopen, whether it's your personal life, whether it's your business, whether it's your connection to the community. Embrace this, because I understand being afraid and worried about it for the first few months.
Right.
But it obviously became clear that it wasn't going to go away anytime soon. And I saw a posting the other day about face mask trends for 2021. That means that we're also seeing, and Dr. Fauci even said it the other day, even with the vaccine, in order for the vaccine to take hold and have about 300 million people or whatever vaccinated, whatever, assuming everybody signs up for it, it's going to take quite a bit of time in this year before we get to a point where that is no longer an issue. And before you know it, here comes flu season. Yeah. And in flu season, I got to tell you, I am waiting for the results, Paul, for this year to see if flu season was actually as bad as it was the years in the past. Because guess what? This also helps protect you from the flu.
It does. I think, though, on the only upside is the flu season will probably be less because we're socially distanced and we're more aware of not spreading stuff. And
in Asia, people have been wearing masks forever. So again, put your best face mask forward.
So can we agree to make this the underlying mantra of the new season, the next year, 2021 Rad Life, and the shows that you help produce and bring to the network here through Golden Seal Media?
Golden Seal Productions.
Reinvent, renew, because we're getting ready to reopen, folks. And it's a time to pivot and reset.
And I would say reopen isn't just a physical mindset. Reopen is also reopening or opening up to the possibilities of what it can be, because we have been so myopically focused that this,
I love it,
jarring cataclysmic thing that happened also provide us with an opportunity to reevaluate and basically be open to new exciting possibilities.
Your show, like a true reality show, is for us to vicariously live our life by watching what you're going through and relate to it and say, I'm going through the same thing. That's me. I'm getting older. My parents are getting older. I'm not sure what's happening next here. I'm having to reset and repivot my business and all this.
One thing I'll tell you I will never do.
The shared experience.
I'm never going to come down an escalator and announce that I'm running.
Oh, with an angel at your side. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on again. It's been a while. You've been doing these things remotely and some other things. I hope at some point we'll get you back in the studio and do some of these here.
I think it's fine. But like I said, for me, I could take a risk and actually be out and engaging with a lot of people and coming in the studio. And we talked about possibly doing that today. But I got to be considerate about the fact that I have other people that I impact.
I understand.
My immediate family, my father, my nephews, my sister and her family, and we're all kind of in a tired, stressed out, fatigued state right now.
Well, we put up a sneeze guard, a giant plexiglass thing between me and all.
It's I think it's a mindset. It's like I don't lose anything by interacting with you right now like this.
No. Right? Well, and it's opened up.
we didn't lose anything.
We didn't lose anything. So let's continue to have the conversation, and let's continue to bring in people who are going through this reinvention and reimagining. And I look forward to the shows that you'll be bringing to the channel here, and to all of those who are looking. If you can't do the full-blown in-studio experience, call Rod, and he will walk you through another program that we put in place.
I'm hoping that a whole bunch of the people that we are doing shows for, some of their shows could be in person. But again, if we're limiting ourselves geographically, the in-person may be that OC Talk Radio actually has an affiliation with another agency in LA. I mean,
we can do that too. We need to. And as you challenged us to do more of this, to open the platform up to people outside of the strictly business community, as you've been our outlier anyway for 5 years, the one show that didn't fit easily into our other lineup of business shows and HR shows. And
my mom could have warned you of that 5 years ago, but yeah.
You have continued to push us into new areas and to open up and to bring a new audience to us. And for that, I'm grateful. And I welcome year 6, if that's what this is, of the Raad Life.
It's real. It's year 6. Who would have thought it? I will leave you with this. Just be kind to one another.
Yeah.
And it's Christmas, and we may not be physically together, but we can be together. Because as I put it in my mask/business card that I sent out to clients, together is the merriest of all.
Yeah.
So find a way to be together, even though physically we may not be together. And I promise you that we're just growing into other possibilities that we didn't think we had to do. But if we embrace them, we may actually find that the journey takes us to places that are full of opportunity.
Yep, even bigger and better. Thank you, my friend. It's been a fascinating thing. I welcome the opportunity to have this year-end wrap-up conversation. I look forward to doing more of these and to hearing more of the Raad Life right here in Orange County's only community radio station, octalkradio.net.
Thank you, Paul, for all the support, too. Merry Christmas. Happy
You have
holidays,
been listening
everybody.
to the Raad Life Radio Show with your host and age explorer, Rod Gantos, brought to you on the one and only octalkradio.net. Join us again next week as we continue our journey of discovery into life's challenges, opportunities, options, and all the latest and greatest things that come with getting older.